Hey everybody, HG Fire Hazard here. Gonna give you a tutorial on how to install the Roush spoiler on a 2015 or 2016 Mustang. This isn't for the faint of heart. I'm going to say, you gotta drill a handful of holes in your car. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. If you have any doubt about doing this, I'd recommend you don't try it yourself. But if you're willing to go, print off the directions from Roush and make sure you have all the supplies it lists. And other than that, you should be okay. Here are some looks at how it was at the end after it was installed. Of course, the easy part, looking at it after. But the how-to, here we go. So you're going to start by pulling out the push pins. If you have a panel removal tool, that will help you get those things out. You can see, I mean, they come out pretty easy, even though I make it look like they come out pretty easy. I think they're 9 in total. There are 2 that are hidden up kind of on the top. And then you got those 2 bump stops that you can insert a screwdriver or what have you into and turn them out counterclockwise, and they'll pull right out. From there, you can pull the cover off, slide your kidnap release out, and just be careful the rectangle around the latch itself. It's pretty thin. I could see you doing some damage to it if you weren't careful, but once you get it out, pull the captive release through, and then you're good to go. From here, you're going to pull the factory grommet out, and at this time, you should have already cut out your template. So you're going to put this up with the arrows, push it all the way up. On this side of the deck lid, my folded over seam there was a little in the way, so make sure you get that all the way to the top to the best you can, and then line up the cutout hole with where you pulled out the grommet. Tape it into place real well, and then importantly, make sure you have a center punch. You do not want your bits to wander during this, so this is crucial. Make sure you have this. Use your punch, get it right there on the center, give it a good couple taps, get a good start. You're going to drill a pilot hole. I believe the directions called for a 1/8 inch pilot hole. Take your time. You can do damage to the other side of your deck lid. You could push a drill bit right through here. I recommend having brand new drill bits for this step. Do not skimp out. Let the drill bit work. Don't push too hard. Be very careful. It would be real easy to go right through the other side, or at least make a dent where it would protrude up and out. So after that, you got your pilot hole drilled. This is a 1-inch bit. I also bought this brand new for this install. I believe this was a Milwaukee bit, where the center bit itself is real short, so you don't have to worry about going through. This is corrosion inhibitor that I sprayed out from the can because I didn't just want it going all over the place. I used a Q-tip. Some of the fibers from the Q-tip ended up in the holes because of the jagged edges, but in the end that worked. If you have a brush, that would be fine too. For the template itself, which is a pain in the butt to cut out, ask my wife, the template caused some issues here and there. A lot of times we felt like we had it lined up really well. We had it cut out well. After we had it cut out and lined up, we also took the spoiler here and kind of put it up. And this is a step that I would recommend not doing, because when we did this, it made us decide to alter slightly from the template after I did some measurement. It didn't seem like it was going to work quite right. So if you'll see there, I had a couple pen marks that I decided not to drill on center of the template. In the end, this made my spoiler fitment a little tight, but it was workable. So I would advise staying with the template. Just make sure you measure before you start drilling, and make sure that it's at least reasonably close on all sides. So here we go again. We did the pilot hole. Before that, we center punch. Don't forget to center punch. As you can see here, I started to drill out the center. The center hole, I believe, is a smaller, the 5/16, and the others are 3/8. Don't quote me on that. Read the instructions. But you have less chance to do damage here. You can be a little less cautious when drilling these out. But it works. no issues. I took my shop vac, cleaned up some of the extra metal shavings left behind. I took the spoiler here and gave us a test fitment. I think in all actuality, this should really slide right in easy if you drill it really well. I just had a little resistance coming from the left side. It wasn't a whole ton, but it was enough it required some effort to put in. Again, don't forget your corrosion inhibitor. You do not want this to rust. I use a Q-tip. If you have some type of fine brush, that would probably work well too. So at this point, I've taped up the double-sided tape pull-offs per the instructions. This is just so you don't automatically stick it to your deck lid without being ready. Gives you a chance to check your fitment like I'm doing there. So once you're happy with everything, you're up and down, you're left and right, make sure that it is good. Look it over a lot. Just be careful. So I was happy with the fitment there. We pulled off all the strips. I think there are 9 in total. Just make sure you get them all. Comes off real easy. And then it recommends you give something like 15 pounds of pressure or what have you, just to kind of initially seat that double-sided tape. This part was real easy. Just, in the directions it says you can use a roller. I just use the palm of my hand. All right, now you can see lifted the deck lid up. Here are some shots of what the studs look like coming through. The access looks real great, and here on the first one in the center, it is nice and open right there with that big old slot. The 2, one on each side of this bolt, will make you hate your life. They will make you hate your life really bad. It's tedious, meticulous, make your hand hurt. You're going to want to have some patience for this part. You will, if you're lucky, be only able to ratchet just one click at a time. So you'll see here. So just be patient. Take your time. It's going to take time. The directions for these bolts here are some like small, ridiculous, like 3.5 foot-pounds. If you really felt like it, you could convert it to inch-pounds if you want to use an inch-pound torque wrench. I'm not even convinced that you'd actually be able to get one of these on a bolt to torque it down. I did it till they're relatively snug, and I think that's fine. I didn't feel any resistance or feel like anything was going to pull out or break. So don't be afraid to get them well tightened down here. A lot of this you're going to see here is just me going back and forth with the tools on these 2 here right outside the center. It really was just a huge pain. So again, take your time with this part. I tried a deep socket, shallow socket with an extension. I think at some point, the length of this, you're going to need a deep socket. So here, watch me struggle. I'm literally going one ratchet at a time.
Yeah.
But once you get them done, you can go to these outside ones, which are a lot easier. Just make sure that you're real careful. When you get these started, make sure you get them started. If not, you're going to be in for some trouble fishing out of this deck lid, which I had to do with multiple things. Honorable mention, it would be really handy, and I should have mentioned this at the start, but it would be really handy to have a flexible and small magnetic retrieval tool, especially if you want to get some of the cuttings out. You're just going to lose some. You can't get them all out on their own, or if you happen to drop one of the bolts or one of the 2 outside screws. So that would be really handy for this install. But if you have patience, you can get this finished up here, get everything tightened down, and take a look. It was worth it, for sure. It looks really good. It's a quality piece. The paint came in a great condition. I would definitely recommend it. Just make sure you know what you're getting into. Have some confidence.
How are you feeling right now?
Excited. A little anxious still. It's nerve-wracking to see all those big-ass holes in the
oh, I know.
deck lid. I think we've done it without incident. It lined up the way we wanted. So, am I in your way?
Boom, right in the shot.